Have you ever woken up on just the completely wrong side of the bed?
Oh, yeah. Like where it feels like the entire world has just conspired to be angry at you before you even have your coffee.
Yes, exactly. And, in 1994, researchers actually made this really startling discovery about that exact feeling. It's about human physiology.
Oh, right, the empathic stress study.
Yeah. They basically put subjects in a room and just had them watch other people who were doing these highly stressful tasks.
And to be clear, the observers weren't in any danger at all. They weren't being yelled at.
Right, they weren't taking a test or anything, but their own bodies just started pumping out cortisol.
Wow.
Yeah, their heart rate's elevated, their muscles tensed up. The scientists called it empathic stress. Basically proving that, bad vibes aren't just a mood, they're a biological contagion.
It's wild because it completely reframes how we experience a bad day. Like, we tend to view our mood as this isolated internal weather system, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the reality is that our emotional state is incredibly porous. We are constantly absorbing the atmospheric pressure of the people around us.
And that physiological reality is just the perfect entry point for what we're unpacking today. So welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We are exploring this fascinating text today, Book 1, Chapter 6 of Professor Cromwell-Smith's Journey. And for those of you who might be unfamiliar with the source material, it's this really unique blend of narrative fiction wrapped around deep philosophical poetry.
And psychological insight, too.
Yeah, exactly. So our mission today is to unpack the author's profound vision of emotional contagion. Basically, how we can prevent ourselves from being consumed by the toxic spread of anger.
Or the poison, as the text calls it.
Right. And more importantly, how we actively choose to draw well-lived and rounded circles of happiness.
I love that phrase. And, to lay the groundwork for this, the author sets up a highly relatable scene.
Oh, the present day scene.
Yeah. We meet the present-day Professor Cromwell-Smith. He's getting older. His physical health is kind of starting to wane. And on this particular morning, it is just pouring rain outside.
Oh, the worst.
Right. And he's sitting quietly, nursing his tea, and feeling utterly out of sorts. He is, to put it mildly, deeply grumpy.
We have all had that morning. You just wake up feeling like the world is demanding way too much and offering too little.
Exactly. But as he sits there, kind of steeping in his own irritation, he recalls this specific lesson from his youth.
And the mere memory of it acts like a neurological switch.
Yeah, by the time he steps into his university lecture hall, that grumpiness has totally vanished. He walks in with this magnetic, deliberate energy.
He actually uses his own initial bad mood as the foundation for his lecture that day. Right?
He does. He wants to demonstrate to his students that even when our days start on a terrible trajectory, we aren't just helpless passengers.
Right.
So he takes them back to this vivid memory from his youth, a day he affectionately calls his mad morning.
Oh, the mad morning sequence is incredible. It's so funny.
It really is.
So young Erasmus, which is the professor's younger self, he walks out into his town, and it's like someone spiked the municipal water supply with just pure rage.
Yes. It's a cascade of chaos.
It's a complete chaos. You have a cab driver screaming obscenities at an old man crossing the street.
And then the milkman losing his mind because some neighborhood kids crashed their bikes into his glass bottles.
Yeah, and there's a newsstand owner literally cursing the heavens and damning his creator because a kid spilled soda on his magazines.
It just keeps going. Plumbers swearing at each other over broken pipes.
A police officer venting his frustration while chasing a teenager. Even his own history teacher is looking at the sky begging for divine intervention just to deal with him.
It is a literal symphony of outrage. He is walking through a gauntlet of hyper-reactive nervous systems.
And the cherry on top. Young Erasmus finally retreats home, right? He points out a brand new white hair above his mother's right earlobe.
Which is always a mistake.
Huge mistake. And she chases him right back out the door. So he's standing in the street, completely bewildered, thinking like, has the entire world gone insane?
What he's experiencing there is the brute force of emotional contagion. The sheer volume of anger he encounters threatens to completely overwhelm his own baseline.
Yeah, it's like a viral infection of bad vibes. How do you even steer your day when it starts in such the wrong direction?
Well, fortunately, in his frantic state, he runs into his mentor, Mrs. V.
She's such a great character.
She really is the calm voice of reason here. She takes one look at this vibrating, flustered boy, and she diagnoses the problem immediately. He is suffering from a poisoned spirit.
A poison spirit. Wow.
Yeah, and to provide an antidote to this, atmospheric toxicity, she pulls down this heavy, dust-covered book from her shelf and just places it on his lap.
And she has him read a poem titled The Land of the Happy People.
Right.
The premise is surreal but really striking. Imagine a society located somewhere just south of heaven. There's this small community of genuinely happy people.
But they're completely encircled by a massive, overwhelming majority of furious, chronically angry individuals.
Yeah, the dynamic the poem explores here is totally counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Because we often like to believe that positivity just naturally overcomes negativity, right?
Like light simply banishing the dark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the poem points out a more realistic, darker truth. In this land, happiness simply wasn't contagious enough.
The angry people vastly outnumbered the joyful ones.
Yeah, and the collective anger functioned almost like this heavy gravity, constantly threatening to pull the joy down into the mud.
The text actually notes that the happier the joyful people became, the angrier the surrounding crowd grew.
Like the joy was a direct insult to their rage.
Exactly. And the poem asks these incredibly piercing questions, like,
Right.
Can joy exist alongside tragedy?
Do the joyful truly understand sorrow?
Right. Did the happy fathom the depth of rage?
Those questions really get to the heart of the human experience, don't they?
You do. Because joy, without an understanding of sorrow, is often just naivety or ignorance.
Right. The poem suggests that genuine, resilient happiness actually has to understand the absolute depth of rage and sorrow, yet actively choose a different path anyway.
And this leads directly to Mrs. V's crucial warning. This is where she tells Erasmus that angry individuals act like body snatchers.
Body snatchers. That is such a vivid, terrifying image.
It really is.
It's like they're just lurking on the sidewalk, waiting to grab your peace of mind, siphon off your energy, and drag you into their misery.
But she pushes the metaphor even further. She says the most dangerous body snatcher isn't the screaming cab driver or the aggressive plumber.
Wait, really? Then who is it?
The real danger is the anger that can well up autonomously from within your own mind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it doesn't even need an external trigger to take over. It can simply hijack your consciousness, poisoning your ability to be happy from the inside out.
Okay, let me pause right here because I struggle with this specific idea in the text.
Oh, so?
Well, this whole concept borders on toxic positivity for me. Like, if a plumber is in my house screaming at me because a pipe burst and water is flooding my kitchen.
Right, a real tangible problem.
Yeah. Me deciding to put on happy glasses doesn't fix the objective reality of the broken pipe or the verbal abuse. So does the author actually address how to handle the physical reality of a bad situation?
Or is it just mental gymnastics?
Yeah, exactly. Are we just pretending everything is fine while the house floods?
That is a vital distinction, and it's actually the exact aha moment Mrs. V delivers to Erasmus.
Okay, I'm listening.
It is not about ignoring reality or pretending the pipe isn't broken. It's about not absorbing the emotion of the reality. Mrs. V leans in and asks him a really profound question.
What does she ask?
She asks why he noticed the anger in the milkman and the newsstand owner today, of all days. I mean, those people have likely had the exact same abrasive personalities their entire lives.
Oh, that's a fair point. The grumpy guy at the corner store didn't just become grumpy this morning. He was definitely grumpy yesterday, too.
Exactly. So she challenges his perception. Was the town actually going mad, or had Erasmus unconsciously put on a lens that magnified everyone else's negativity while mirroring his own internal state?
Oh, so the poison was kind of inside him all along that morning.
Right. And this introduces the core philosophy of the author's vision. The concept of life lenses.
Life lenses.
Yeah. It isn't about delusional optimism. It's the recognition that our experience of the world depends entirely on the attitude we choose when we interpret our surroundings.
So, if you wear the defensive, angry lens, a delayed postman is perceived as a personal attack on your schedule.
Yes.
But if you choose to wear a compassionate or neutral lens, a delayed postman is just a guy having a hard day carrying heavy bags in the rain.
Precisely. The lens doesn't dry up the flooded kitchen, but the lens stops the plumber's rage from infecting your central nervous system and ruining the rest of your day.
Ah, I see.
Happiness in this framework is an active cognitive defense system against emotional contagion. It is a deliberate choice of perspective.
I really like that. But, recognizing the lens is really only half the battle.
How do you mean?
Well, If we have the power to choose our lenses, how does that choice actually shape the physical path we walk? Because time keeps moving.
Right, life happens.
Relationships end, careers shift, people pass away. We can't just stand still in a state of positive observation.
That is very true. Which leads us perfectly to a second worn leather book Mrs. V pulls down for Erasmus.
Oh, right. The second poem.
Yeah, she offers him a piece titled The Spinning Wheel of Life.
I love this one.
It really transitions the focus from our internal perception to our external journey through time. It introduces the metaphor of life as a constant, circular, flowing loop.
A series of never-ending elliptical bends and curves making up a much larger wheel.
Exactly. And the imagery here is designed to confront our deep-seated fear of finality.
Right, because when a chapter of our life ends, we tend to despair. We view it as this solid brick wall.
But the poem insists that because this wheel perpetually spins, what was, what is, and what will be are inextricably linked. An end is never just a static wall.
It introduces this really comforting yet profound concept of the opening.
Yes, the opening.
Because the wheel is always in motion. Every single conclusion, no matter how painful or disruptive, is simultaneously the start of a new spin. There's always an opening waiting for us.
Provided we are willing to look for it instead of staring exclusively at the closed door.
It's kind of like being the director of a movie.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, like when one scene concludes, you don't throw the camera into the ocean and declare the entire production over.
Right. You don't just stop filming.
No. You call cut, you reset the lights, you adjust the framing, and you call action on the next setup. You are the director of your own circle. You have the agency to decide the tone of the next scene.
I love that. Young Erasmus, though, he really grapples with this abstract idea. He essentially asks Mrs. V, am I just running in a literal circle then? Like a hamster on a wheel?
And her clarification here is basically the philosophical anchor of the entire chapter.
It really is. She tells him to think of these circles not as a closed track he is trapped on, but as the trajectory of the wake he leaves behind as he moves through life.
The wake, like the physical displacement of water behind a moving boat, that is so good.
It completely shifts the metaphor from something repetitive to something impactful.
It does. And if you think about the physics of a wake, it makes perfect sense.
How so?
Well, a boat moving erratically, constantly accelerating and slamming on the brakes, creates these turbulent, chaotic waves that capsize smaller boats and erode the shoreline.
Right, it destroys the environment around it.
But a boat moving with deliberate purpose leaves a smooth, expanding V shape. The wake is the lasting physical impression of your actions, your choices, and your attitude.
And the turbulence of our wake dictates the environment for everyone behind us. So Mrs. V is saying, it is entirely up to us whether we draw well-lived and rounded circles by following the better instincts of our heart.
Or whether we leave behind a jagged, destructive path that swamps everyone in our vicinity.
We absolutely have the agency to shape the water. And what is so fascinating is how the present-day Professor Cromwell-Smith anchors this lofty poetry for his university students.
Oh, the physical manifestation.
Yes. He doesn't just read the poem and dismiss class. He raises his hand and physically traces a large, deliberate circle in the air with two fingers joined together.
It is such a cinematic moment in the text. The students are completely mesmerized. They instinctively start mimicking the motion, drawing circles in the air back at him.
It transforms this heavy psychological concept into a tangible, shared physical ritual. A somatic reminder of the wake they are responsible for creating every time they walk out of a room.
It grounds the philosophy beautifully.
Right.
Well, understanding a philosophy in the safety of a quiet intellectual lecture hall is very different from applying it in the messy, unpredictable reality of the outside world.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it is very easy to draw a peaceful circle in the air when you're sitting in a comfy chair surrounded by peers.
True.
But what happens an hour later when you're stuck in gridlock traffic and someone nearly sideswipes your car? How do we practically maintain these well-lived circles when the body snatchers inevitably attack?
That is exactly where the lecture shifts into a highly practical, applied discussion. The students start asking rapid-fire questions, challenging the professor to translate the poetry into actionable psychology.
Okay, let's break some of those down.
Let's do it. So let's look at the overarching themes of their questions, starting with the very nature of human instinct. A student named Rebecca challenges the whole premise.
What does she ask?
She points out that anger is a fundamental evolutionary survival mechanism. Isn't it hardwired into our biology to react aggressively to threats?
Right, you can't just meditate away millions of years of mammalian evolution.
Exactly. And the professor completely agrees with her. Anger is a natural, instinctual response to a perceived physical or social threat.
But it's not insurmountable.
Right. He clarifies that while the initial spark is instinctual, the fire that follows is a choice. We overcome our evolutionary programming not by suppressing the anger, which usually backfires, but by consciously engaging our prefrontal cortex.
We deliberately seek understanding over an immediate reaction.
Yes.
So instead of defaulting to the defensive, angry lens, you force yourself to put on the curiosity lens.
Precisely.
But practically, how do you do that in the heat of the moment when your blood pressure is spiking?
Another student, Michael, asks the exact million-dollar question. How do we identify and neutralize the anger before it poisons the wake?
The professor's strategy here is incredibly perceptive. He explains that anger rarely announces itself as raw, unadulterated rage.
Right, it disguises itself.
Yeah, it wears the camouflage of moral righteousness or deep hurt or victimization. We almost always feel completely justified in our anger.
Oh, absolutely.
So to strip away that camouflage, he suggests asking two disarming questions in the moment.
And those are...
What am I protecting, and what am I afraid of?
Wow. What am I protecting, and what am I afraid of?
Because anger is almost always acting as a loud bodyguard for a much more quiet, vulnerable emotion like fear or insecurity.
That makes so much sense.
Like, if a colleague criticizes a project I worked hard on, I might feel furious. But if I stop and ask, what am I afraid of? The honest answer is probably, I'm afraid my peers think I'm incompetent, or I'm afraid of losing my status.
Which completely deflates the rage and reframes the entire scenario.
Exactly. Neutralizing the poison requires that exact reframing. You shift your focus from the perceived attack to the underlying vulnerability.
And from there, another student, Jane, tackles a completely different angle.
Oh, I remember this. She asked about art, right?
Yes, she asks, what if anger isn't entirely useless? What about the connection between anger and creation?
Can anger ever be a force for good? Because looking back through history, a lot of incredible art, major social reform, and human progress was born out of intense, righteous anger.
Totally. And the professor argues that anger doesn't have to be this toxic sludge that you just bury in the yard. It is pure kinetic energy.
The critical factor is the channel.
Yes. The energy itself is neutral. It's the application that dictates its value. If you let it run wild, it's a destructive force that ruins your wake.
But if you capture it, you can use it as a powerful catalyst for creation.
Exactly. You can channel that intense energy into the circle you are drawing, transforming a destructive impulse into a profound piece of art or a dedicated work ethic or a drive for systemic change.
Which naturally leads to the biggest, most daunting question raised in the whole. From Raj.
Raj's question on society.
Yeah. When you zoom out and look at society as a whole, isn't the world just inherently more angry than happy? How does one individual trying to draw a little well-lived circle even make a dent against a global culture of outrage?
It is the defining anxiety of our modern, hyper-connected era, isn't it?
It really is.
The professor doesn't sugarcoat the reality. He acknowledges that the body snatchers are loud, and they often dominate the cultural narrative. But he offers a deeply compelling counterargument.
Which is?
Happiness possesses a quiet, relentless strength.
Oh, I see. You don't defeat the loud anger by shouting back even louder. That just creates more noise and more turbulence in the water.
Exactly. You shift the balance through micro-interactions. By consciously choosing kindness, practicing empathy in frustrating moments, and fostering gratitude even when it's difficult.
It goes right back to the physics of the wake.
Right. A steady boat navigating through a chaotic, stormy harbor doesn't instantly stop the storm, but its smooth wake provides a temporary path of calm water for the boats directly behind it.
We counteract the chaos with the persistent daily strength of deliberate joy.
Beautifully said.
So, to bring this entire journey into focus for you, we started by looking at a grumpy morning filled with screaming neighbors, right? We looked at how emotional stress is biologically and psychologically contagious.
Contagious bad vibes.
Exactly. We followed young Erasmus through a chaotic morning where the world seemed determined to drag him down into misery.
But through Mrs. V's lessons, we unpack the mechanics of the life lenses, learning that our perspective dictates our reality.
We learned that life is an endless spinning wheel, offering an opening even in our darkest moments.
And perhaps most importantly, we realized that you are the director of your own life's wake. You are responsible for drawing well-lived, rounded circles through the choices you make. utilizing curiosity over reaction.
But before we wrap up, I think it is crucial to highlight one last thing. The very first thing Mrs. V did when a frantic Erasmus burst into her shop on that rainy morning.
Oh, right. Before the heavy books, before the profound poems about the spinning wheel, she looked at him, scratched her head, and cast a playful, almost absurd little spell.
The spell. She points at him and says, Modicum, Modicum, Modicus.
It sounds like a charm you'd learned at a wizarding school.
It really does have that whimsical sound, but what does it actually mean?
Well, its practical application is the cornerstone of the whole philosophy. Modicum implies a small quantity of a particular thing, especially something highly desirable.
Okay.
In this context, it is a call for a small dose of restraint, caution, and moderation.
Ah, I see.
The professor realizes later in life that this spell is the foundational step. When the world seems to be shouting at you, when the cortisol is rushing into your bloodstream, the very first step toward reclaiming a blissful life and changing your lens is simply to pause.
To practice a modicum of restraint.
Yes.
That tiny, almost imperceptible gap between the stimulus of a bad event and your reaction to it, that fraction of a second is where all your true freedom lies.
Is where you find the mental space to ask what you are protecting and to deliberately choose the shape of the wake you are about to create.
And that brings us to our final thought for you to mull over today. We have spent this entire deep dive talking about how to protect yourself from the anger of others.
How to dodge the body snatchers when they try to grab you.
Right. But consider the flip side. What if you are the body snatcher?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Think back to the last time you let your frustrations spill over onto a complete stranger, a barista, or a junior coworker.
Or cut someone off in traffic.
Exactly. How long did your jagged wake of anger dictate their day long after you moved on and forgot the interaction ever happened?
It is a sobering reflection. We are all highly contagious.
We are. So what does this all mean for you today? The next time you feel the heat rising in your chest or you wake up feeling like the world is against you, remember the body snatchers.
Remember the spell. Take that pause.
Practice a modicum of restraint before you react. Ask yourself, what kind of wake are you leaving behind right in this exact moment? Are you letting the wheel crush you, or are you looking for the opening?
Because you have the power to decide the emotional weather for everyone in your path.
You really do. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Professor Cromwell-Smith's vision. Keep following the better instincts of your heart, watch out for your own wake, and go draw those circles with care. Catch you next time.